Chinese State Councilor and Foreign Minister Wang is on a 4-day visit to Japan and South Korea. During meetings with his Japanese counterpart, Toshimitsu Motegi, Wang called on the two countries to deepen cooperation and, quote, inject new impetus into a world full of uncertainties. The two sides also agreed to restart business travel later in November, actually. Some analysts say Beijing is testing the new Japanese administration's attitude in an attempt to bring Japan closer in face of regional uncertainties. How should the foreign minister's visit be read? I will be talking to two experts on this. Professor Cheng Xiaohe is from the Department of International Politics at Renmin University, and Dr. Naoko Kumada at Faculty of Asian Studies and Anthropology at Bard College. Welcome to both of you. Professor Cheng, let me start with you. This is the first official visit to Japan by the Chinese foreign minister since COVID. It's also the first visit by a senior Chinese official since the new Japanese prime minister took office. What do you make of this timing? Professor Cheng, can you hear me?
Oh, yes. I think it's, the timing is very important. From my perspective, Wang Yi's visit to Japan had less to do with Biden's win in the U.S. presidential elections and more to do with the dynamics of Sino-Japanese relations. You see, since 2018, the relationship between China and Japan has been improving, but the COVID-19 pandemic disrupted such a kind of momentum. So it's very natural for Wang Yi to visit Japan to revitalize the relationship between two countries. And also, since last year's, and Wang Yi has not seen his counterparts, and I think it's time for two foreign ministers to exchange views. And certainly, Prime Minister Suga's, and he came to power, and Wang Yi's visit created a rare opportunity to hear a thought from Japanese new government about China and the Japanese relations.
Dr. Kumada, how do the Japanese people look at Wang Yi's visit?
Yes, I think the timing is excellent. The relationship was set for a new beginning this year. PM Abe and he had met Xi Jinping in Beijing in December last year and invited him to visit Japan. This was the most hopeful development in Abe's tenure. It offered the prospect of a reset in the relationship between China and Japan. Meanwhile, however, events seem to turn things in a negative direction. A U.S. position on China became increasingly paranoid and aggressive, demanding that its allies follow suit. Abe and Suga said they would lead the G7 to express concern over Hong Kong against China. This tied Japan to the hypocritical Western demonization of China over Hong Kong. And but Japan's position on G7 was a desperate bid to ensure we stay as the only Asian nation in the club of great white powers. The objective was to exclude South Korea, as Trump had suggested. Japan also took steps towards sealing the Quad agreement, which aims to contain China. So against these negative trends, I think that Wang Yi's visit to Japan is a very positive step for Japan and China relations.
Mm-hmm. Professor Cheng, in Beijing, I mean, what do you see the future Japan-China relations will look like when you think about the new Japanese Prime Minister taking office soon?
I think it's Suga's came to office. Certainly, it offers a very good opportunity for China and Japan to boost their bilateral relations in the future. Because as I said a little bit earlier, and since 2018, 18th, and the relationship between China and Japan has been stabilized and also gained a very significant momentum. So Suga's administration certainly could carry on such a kind of momentum and seek cooperation. China and Japan could seek their cooperation in dealing with the new issues such as the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic. And also both sides could work hard to find a way to seek an early recovery of crippled relationship between two countries. So there's many chances and opportunities up there. So it's very important for both sides to grab the opportunity and turn the opportunity into reality.
Right, Professor Cheng, thank you. I appreciate your insight. Actually, we have a piece of breaking news right now. Chinese President Xi Jinping has just congratulated U.S. President-elect Joe Biden on becoming the next president of the United States. Breaking news here. The Chinese president said, congratulations. He hopes that Biden will help promote the healthy development of U.S.-China relations, which will be in the best interests of the two peoples. In this congratulatory message, President Xi of China also said he hopes both China and the U.S. will abide by the doctrines of non-conflict, non-confrontational relationship building, respect each other's core interests, and work towards a win-win relationship. You may also want to know that Vice Chinese President Wang also congratulated Kamala Harris on becoming the next Vice U.S. President. So breaking news here, Chinese President Xi Jinping has congratulated Joe Biden on becoming the next president of the United States. Of course, this comes on the heels of Chinese Foreign Ministry spokesperson congratulating Joe Biden and Kamala Harris a short few weeks ago. This is indeed much awaited. The whole world is seeing and waiting how the Chinese side might respond to this election. Now, folks, let's continue our discussion on China-Japan relations. We've just heard from the Chinese president who congratulated Joe Biden on becoming the next president. So, Dr. Kumada, I mean, what do you make of this message, especially its timing right now?
Well, it's very positive message. I'm in New York right now, and we've been going through a turmoil. One of the biggest issues was how the new American government would handle China relations. We already know that the advisors for Biden are very, how do you say, supportive of multilateral approachals to international issues. So I think there is a big opportunity here. Multilateralism is encouraged in China as well as ASEAN countries. I'm a Southeast Asianist. And so I think there is a very big step forward for not just U.S.-China relations, but also for Asian region and for world peace. There are big issues like the pandemic and climate change that we need to handle. So I think this is a real big opening. And also to mention that RCEP was just signed between China, Japan, South Korea, together with ASEAN countries. Right. Things are changing very fast, and all these are positive news.
Right. Once again, I want to remind our viewers in China and around the world that President Xi Jinping of China has congratulated Joe Biden on becoming the next president of the United States. Meanwhile, Vice Chinese President Wang has also congratulated Kamala Harris on becoming the next Vice President of the United States. Professor Cheng, your interpretation on this message?
I think it's a very, very good news, a good message. And you see, it's China and the United States relations have been in a very bad shape. And I think that Xi Jinping's congratulatory message could serve as a very good start for China and the United States to seek a way to stabilize the relationship. And
the two leaders met on multiple occasions, right? When they were both vice presidents of their countries. They went on an extended trip to the south of China and to Beijing. They met on multiple occasions.
Yes. And you see, it's also, if China and the United States relations could be stabilized, that would create a very favorable relationship, a very favorable atmosphere for China and Japan and China other countries to improve the relationship. And I think that's good news.
Right. And then what do you think the new Japanese Prime Minister will go about dealing with China? Will his approach be different than that of Shinzo Abe? Professor Cheng?
Yes, I don't think there's any big differences between Suga's policies and Abe's policies toward China. And you see, it's very clear Japan's hedge bets on its relationship with the two major powers, China and the United States. On the one hand, Japan's going to really seek economic benefits from its relationship between China, because China's fast economic growth. And on the other hand, it's very clear that Japan tried to seek security benefits from its allied relationship with the United States. I think the Suga's administration will continue such a kind of policies until next year.
Right. Dr. Kumada, you know, many world leaders congratulated Joe Biden when he won the election, the popular votes. You know, the Prime Minister of Great Britain was one of them. Macron was one of those. What do you make of the fact that the Chinese president congratulated Joe Biden only now?
Well, I think he was being very careful, and I think it was very correct and proper for him to be doing so. One thing living in New York, and I felt strange, was that somehow the media seems to control the narrative. These are the result of the election should be announced by government authorities, but somehow
they're caught by media these days. 10 or so media outlets these days.
Yes, so I think it's very smart of China to have waited until now to congratulate the president-elect.
Right. Professor Cheng, and finally, your thoughts on the future of China-Japan relations. We know Japan is a treaty ally of the United States. It's not likely to change anytime soon. But on the other hand, there seems to be a warming relationship between Tokyo and Beijing in terms of economics and trade.
Yes, you see, China and Japan have many disputes over historic issues, territorial issues, and Japan's allied relationship with the United States. But nonetheless, China and Japan could seek cooperations in many fields, such as jointly fighting COVID-19 pandemic, and also set up a fast track and seek the early resumptions of business activities. And also, so you see, Japan and China share some ideas about climate change, multilateralisms, law-based multilateralisms. So I think that China and Japan could sidestep the differences and seek common grounds to make their relationship strong and prosperous.
Right. Once again, I want to remind our viewers that President Xi Jinping of China has congratulated Joe Biden on becoming the next president of the United States. President Xi said he wants to work with Joe Biden to promote a healthy and stable future China-U.S. relations. I want to thank both of our guests for tonight, Professor Cheng Xiaohe and Dr. Naoko Kumada. With that, we come to the end of this edition of The Point. As always, follow us on Facebook and Twitter using the handle Liu Xin in Beijing. Download the CGTN app or go to YouTube and look for CGTN The Point. I'm Wang, and on behalf of the team, thank you for watching.